Every winter, Cornwall's beautiful coastline becomes victim to the wild Atlantic Ocean. Winds of up to 60 miles an hour and massive waves can all hit at the same time, making it one truly inhospitable place to be. But slowly, signs of spring start to make themselves evident. The days get warmer and longer, and our wildflowers that lay dormant for months begin to germinate and sprout. As the surrounding areas warm, seabirds that have either spent their winters at sea or in other locations around the southwest start to journey here. A cove on the far west of Cornwall. Shags are the first to arrive, with tufts on their head indicating that they are ready for the upcoming mating season. Kittiwakes, one of our smallest gulls, arrives next. Herring gulls also use this cove to nest, with around 10 pairs every year choosing to raise their chicks here. The very rare red-billed chough will also stay in this cove for the next few months. Last but not least, the wind-loving fulmars arrive, gliding on cliff thermals around the cove. They will come in monogamous pairs, meaning that they will be with the same partner year on year. Now that the cove is full, the sound of seabirds travels far and wide. However, this is slightly too much for some of the locals. Fulmars like to nest in communities, but if you get slightly too close, you'll certainly hear about it. These arguments may seem futile, but they are actually very important. Fight well, and you can be rewarded with the first pick of places to sit and nest around the cove. But fight poorly, and you may be left somewhere rather uncomfortable. Most of the fulmars have now found their place amongst the rocks. But over on the far side of the cove, there's one nest that's half empty. Her partner went out on a fishing trip that may take him on a 600-mile round trip and weeks to complete. But there's something on the horizon. Could it be him? Not on this occasion. The Atlantic is vast, and he could still be so far away. And with a rainstorm passing through, she bunkers down to wait it out. It's been 5 days now since she was with him, and she's still alone. But another fulmar arrives back at the cove. He's home. They greet each other with a lot of cooling, billing and head bobbing. After reaffirming their feelings towards one another, they both start to settle down, seemingly contented to be back together once again. But things aren't quite so calm for their neighbours. Shags were the first bird to arrive at the cove, and they've been busy. Their plush nests are certainly a level up from that of the fulmars. They will be sat here for a third of the year, so it's important to make sure they're comfortable. But at this nest, both Mom and Dad are hanging about, and there's a very good reason for that. There's a newborn, and he's trying to get Mom's attention. No surprise here, he's hungry. Mom and Dad will have to feed and look after their chick for 2 months before he's ready to fledge. But that won't bring their time here to a close, as they'll be back next year to do it once more. As we move away from the birds' nesting season, we come to summer. All the trees and flowers have unfurled, and our wild spaces are bursting with colour and wildlife. As the rotation of the Earth points Cornwall closer towards the sun, our days get much warmer, our nights get shorter, and the mornings get much earlier. It's 5 AM along the Tamar River in East Cornwall. And hiding in the undergrowth is the most successful predator in history, the dragonfly. More specifically, this is the banded damsel. Both male and female damsels are dew-covered after spending a night in the long grasses by the riverside. The early July sun rises through the thick vegetation. Rays of light begin to pour into all the cracks and crevices previously filled with shade, and the Tamar River begins to wake up. It isn't long before the sun hits the female damsel. Her cold blood warms through, and she takes to the air. In the hot summer months, banded damsel are a common figure in the UK. However, in Cornwall, the Tamar River near Launceston is one of the only locations in which they thrive. This female is busy having a grooming session. Damsels have one of the largest eye-to-body ratios in the whole animal kingdom, so she needs to keep them dirt-free. But she's being watched. Male damsels only live for 2 weeks, and in this time one of their main objectives is to mate. After spotting a female in the grasses, he takes off after her. She sees the male and pings off her reed, trying to evade him. His aim is to catch her. He succeeds, and they are now said to be in tandem. They form a beautiful heart shape that is referred to as the wheel. They will hold this shape for a few minutes as they mate before the male lets go and they separate. The female will now land, but not here. She's getting too much attention, so she decides to go elsewhere to start her ovipositing. This is where she lays her newly fertilised eggs underwater. She can do this by creating a layer of bubbles around her, allowing her to be submerged for up to an hour. Evening now falls over the Tamar, but the hot summer sun still beats down on the river. The banded damsel have started to line up along the bank. They can all sense something is about to happen. Below them, midges are flying low over the river, the ideal dinner for the most successful predator ever. They take off from their perches quickly and descend onto their prey. Banded damsel's eyes cover so much of their head that they can nearly see 360 degrees around them, making the midges an easy target. Midges are fast, but the damsels are faster, and they have a field day. After the intense hunting session is over, the damsels quickly return to their perches. But for some, the feast isn't over. Most of what they catch can be eaten on the wing, but bigger portions are sometimes saved until they are on a reed. Damselflies have toothed mandibles which they will use to tear into and eat their prey. After a big meal, the damsels will sit to digest their food and wait for the night to set in. Hidden away in the grasses, this damsel will once again be dew-covered when the morning comes. At the end of the damselfly's cycle, we end up in September, the start of autumn. Cornwall once again becomes a haven for wet weather. Throughout the spring and summer months, leaves make a lot of chlorophyll, a chemical compound that keeps our foliage green. This is easy in the warmer months where the days are long, but as they get shorter and cooler, other colours such as brown, red or orange start to show. This is where the tree starts to take control. It cuts off the water supply to the leaves in order to conserve these precious fluids as we move into winter. When the trees do this, their leaves become too weak to hold on, and so they fall to the ground, covering our woodlands in a blanket of orange. These stages are all essential, as the nutrition from the leaves needs to be recycled and returned to the soil. And this is all thanks to the intelligence of trees. Located just a few hundred metres away from the woods is Dead Man's Cove. Lined with big cliffs and dangerous drops, it makes an ideal habitat for one of Cornwall's most specialised birds of prey. A female kestrel. And she's got an unbelievable superpower. She can hover. She faces into the wind and makes micro-adjustments with her wings and tail in order to keep her head, and most importantly her eyes, completely still. A kestrel's eyes are 8 times more powerful than ours, and that comes in handy, especially when she's hungry. There's a field mouse running in the long grasses below. But using her eyes, the kestrel locks in on the target. It's a narrow miss, disappointing for the kestrel, but joy for the mouse, who lives to see another day. She will need to hunt a lot throughout the coming months, stocking up in preparation for the winter, where the days are short and the hunting opportunities are reduced. After our very mild autumn, we finally move into winter, where the temperature starts to drop, and we end up here. This old, battered barn is hit every year by the harsh weather Cornwall throws at it. Even so, there are signs of life within. Poo is covering every available space inside these 4 walls. But what leaves it there? It would take hundreds of birds to create such a mess. Starlings. They have a pointed head and triangular wings, making them strong flyers. They flock in their hundreds every year to this barn. In their beautiful white spotty winter plumage, they migrate from the far north of Europe for the milder winters the UK has to offer. But they're not just here for the protection of the barn. The surrounding fields are the perfect feeding grounds. They have powerful muscles in their jaws, which creates a force strong enough in their beaks to push apart the tightly packed turf and soil to expose some of their favourite foods, invertebrates. Success! A tasty grub. But he must be careful. Starlings may be communal birds, but they certainly won't share. Around the rest of the farm, the birds seem to have taken over. Everywhere you look, all you can see and hear is starlings. They spend most of their time in smaller groups of what appears to be friends who always hang out together, sharing information through their constant chatter. Starlings are highly intelligent and social, and their communication is amongst the most advanced in the bird world. Throughout their lifetime, they will build a rich and complex vocabulary of sounds from mimicking human noises, machinery, and even other animals. When not in the barn or feeding, starlings spend time in their favourite tree to rest and attend to essential preening. With birds of prey closely watching and waiting for an opportunity to strike. This tree gives the starlings good all-round vision. 50 pairs of eyes is always better than one. There's something else that all the birds in the tree are doing. It seems odd at first, but they are repeatedly rubbing their beaks on the branch. There are two primary reasons for this behaviour. The outer layer of their beaks is made of keratin, and it grows non-stop, a lot like our fingernails. And to feed effectively, they need to be a certain shape, so they trim them on the tree. Secondly, birds are unable to clean their faces like you or I could with a napkin. Therefore, they tend to rub any debris left on their beaks onto something else in order to remove it. Grooming session over, he will move off, allowing other starlings to come in and see to their beaks. Escaping the hustle and bustle of the barn down below, this starling has got the best seat in the house. As the day draws to a close, a sense of anticipation starts to build amongst the starlings. It may look like they all need to rest after a busy day of feeding and grooming, but these incredible birds love an evening performance. They group together in trees all over Camelford and Davidstow. This group appears to have reached critical mass. One bird takes off and all the rest follow. Different groups are also taking to the air, and somehow they all know where and when to meet for one of nature's greatest wildlife spectacles. Using their triangular wings and aerodynamic head, they are able to reach speeds of 50 miles an hour, so it's not long before the first group arrives. Soon they are joined by another, together forming a superflock of many thousands of birds. Starling murmurations have neither a leader nor a plan, so how they all know what to do might forever remain a mystery. Their reactions are 13 times faster than ours, meaning that they'll never hit despite flying at high speeds just centimetres away from each other. When flying in a murmuration, there are 3 straightforward rules, and it's all based on your 7 closest neighbours. Fly towards each other if you get too distant. Change direction when any of your neighbouring starlings do. And finally, avoid crowding each other. If they follow these 3 simple rules, the outcome can be spectacular. For years, people have speculated reasons starlings might murmurate together, including safety from predators and warmth. But the truth is, we might never really know why they make these mesmerising patterns. They dance till the last of the light, and when that fades, the starlings start to make their way back to their roosts in the trees. Research has shown that starlings are able to chat to one another about the best places to feed for the next day. They will stick together throughout the long and cold December nights before they rise the next morning to spend another day in the Wild West.